Hello and happy Memorial Day weekend. I'm just going to tell you up front, I am unwell, so my voice sounds a little cloggy and I may have to take a nose blowing break halfway through this video. But I want to talk to you about Module 2, Adaptive and Assistive Technology. So this week, there's a lot to look at, and as you are probably beginning to notice, most of this course is really just scaffolding for you to explore the areas that, the areas that we need to cover for our work, but also the ones that interest you. So this week, the basic overlying principle is how do we provide support for all students, for students who have different learning needs than maybe our standard. So there's a ton of links and articles for you to look at, some websites, and there are two specific assignments. I'll talk about those after I tell you about the websites. And then, of course, the discussion boards, which seem to be going great so far. So well done, you guys. All right, so I've got the list here. There are two articles by Janet Hopkins. One of them is School Library Accessibility, the Role of Assistive Technology. That is kind of, if you're in school, you probably know a lot of that already. But what she has in there are 10 things to do at the end of the article. They're like, kind of like action items of things that you can do. And I really like those. I think that's a great thing. As many of those steps as you can do if you're in a school would be wonderful. So look at those 10 items, and as part of your blog post this week, if you could just, and again, if you're not in a school where you have the option to do this, you can always just, sort of what are your thoughts about it. But if you have an opportunity to do any of those steps, I'd love to hear about it. So put that in your blog. You can also talk about it in the discussion if you want. Um, so that is, it doesn't have the words 10 things in the title, but that's the one with the 10 things I want you to look at. Now there's a second one by Janet Hopkins, Assistive Technology, 10 Things to Know, and those are just interesting things to know, and so you may want to look at that. Then we've got Everyone's Invited by Wohan, and that is, it mostly deals with universal design for learning, which is big and not necessarily technological, but when we're talking about adaptive and assistive, I think it makes sense to look at both. Victoria Jones has an article about stigma and stereotypes and labels, kids, how that impacts kids with learning disabilities. Again, if you are not in a school and you don't really have the options to spend a lot of time on the sort of nuts and bolts of your specific district, this would be something that you could look at. The social emotional learning is huge, and we want to make sure that we touch on everybody with that. Then there's Tools of the Trade. That is a article about the other one about Jones. I can't remember. Maybe she's talking about CAST. I think maybe she's talking about CAST. Then we have Quiet, which is Quality Indicators of Assistive Technology, their resource book, and CAST, which has the About Universal Design for Learning. Quiet looks like it's mostly studies. There may be some tools up there. Jones is in that Tools of the Trade. There are a lot of great links there that take you to different resources for adaptive and assistive. And then CAST also has a little more about UDL, and there are also some resources there. Then there's Project Enable. You may not even have a chance to look at this because there's a lot else here. But if you ever are curious about providing resources specifically for people with disabilities, Enable is great. It's for all librarians, public, school, academic, but it's a tremendous self-modulated, self-regulated. It's something you do by yourself, is what I'm trying to say. You can work through it, not now. You're taking a grad course, that's your priority, but that's something to just keep in the back of your mind for the future. All right, so your assignments are taking the 10 action items from Hopkins' first article and addressing them in your blog. That's not an additional thing. That's just something that you can talk about in your blog. And then if you want to do links to other stuff in there as well, by all means, go nuts. It's your resource. The other assignment that you will have is to go into your district, if you are a teacher, and find out who is the point person for adaptive and assistive technology and talk to them a little bit about their work if you can. This time of year, people are really busy, especially people, like who are working with testing students and trying to get everything done, they might not have time with you, but to give to you. But I found that in my district, when I found the woman who was doing it, who was a speech therapist, who was the adaptive and good Lord, adaptive and assistive technology liaison. She was so excited that I was asking her about this from, as a colleague, that, we had a cup of tea and talked for an hour. So if you get that sort of response, great, roll with it. If you don't, really just talk about, how difficult is it to find this person. In some districts, a course I teach, a professional development course, I don't have people write about it in, like with their district's name in it, because sometimes it's really disheartening how difficult it is to get an answer on this thing. And I think how much more difficult would it be as a parent of a child with special needs to, to be looking for services for them. And that's someplace where, we can help bridge. We need to know what's what. We need to be Radar O'Reilly if you're old enough to remember MASH. We need to know where the bodies are buried. And so this is an exercise in getting that done. So just write your, what you went through, how that went. All right. I believe that that's everything. The rest is, again, just exploring which of these things is of interest to you. I mean, that's going to be at least the first, I want to say, 8 weeks of this course. The first 8 modules are mostly about finding tools, apps, multimedia. So it's mostly about just, we have an overarching topic, and there are specific things that we'll look at all together. But then it's, if you're somebody who's just starting out and you want to learn the basics, that I'll give you the basics. And then if you are like, oh yeah, I've done this before, then you go on and look at what interests you. So I'm going to be, I'll give you some guidelines, but this is really an opportunity for you to take the amount of time that you're going to be working on this course into whatever direction you want. So there are some people who, wanted to investigate website building. There are some people who wanted to investigate coding. So you'll have a chance to do that while you look at the other stuff. Okay, I need to blow my nose, so I'm going to go. Hope you have a wonderful week. If you have any questions, you can put them in the help discussion, or you can email me in Canvas, and that's it. I'll see you next week. Bye.